got a little continuation of a project, or it's become a project, with this little spray mist device that I bought. One of my other videos shows me playing around with it, working out how it works. What I want to do is make a holder for it, and make it a bit portable. So instead of having it just for one machine, I could move it from machine to machine. I was thinking that I'm going to use a magnetic base, and with this clamp here, put a little bar through here, piece of steel tapped into there, bar welded onto that, slid into this holder here. Then I can clamp this wherever I want, up and down, etc., move it around. In my findings in using this, I found though that the tank for it had to be slightly above, the pickup for it had to be slightly above, incorrect, had to be slightly below, otherwise it would siphon. If it was too far below, it was hard for it to pick up the liquid. So I've cut a piece of aluminium RHS that I had just laying around, done some sums, and that internal volume is about 300 millilitres, a little bit more. Now when you consider you buy this stuff here in 5 litre lots, could be 100-ish bucks, round about, depending on what discount you get. So this is obviously not used streaming out of the end of this. It's mostly the air that does the work, and a little bit of fluid. So for this to be used up, totally all of this liquid here, I have to fill this 15 times. You definitely would not want to go through this very quickly because it's expensive. Maybe another version where you could grow your own, make your own mixtures, but as I'm only new to the spray mist, I thought, well, I'll start off with the proper stuff first. I was thinking of making another clamp method and then having this little tank, while I build the top and the bottom for it, so that, you know, I could... But then I thought that was going to be a bit ungainly. What I might do though, because it does come with quite a long little lead, I've got another magnetic clamp here, switchable, and then I'll be able to move that to where on each machine wherever I want it to be, so it's working correctly, rather than be sort of confined to a short distance here, find that it's not working, or you can't get it close enough to the job. So that's what I'm going to be doing this part of the project. I've got to cut a piece of steel off here, tap those holes, and I've got to get a little bit of bar stock. Still haven't ordered any bar stock in, so I think I've got a bit of hex bar that I can make this out of. So we'll continue to the next stage. So I've marked these holes. Just going to put a little centre drill in there to make sure they drilled in the right spot, and then we'll drill it out to a clearance hole for a 6mm bolt. Pilot here. Off centre a bit. This is over. Okay, a bit of deburring. Cut this off to length, and then that will be the piece goes onto the spray mist body. M6 by 1 tap. Difficult to hold this in a vise, and I've just realised it's also difficult because I haven't allowed this a through hole anywhere for the tap to go through the bottom. So let's see if I can move this over a little bit. I think that'll do. Going to frighten me a bit by the look of it. Still want to do that tap up there, clamp up too tight. Go to the next one. Here's the piece of aluminium box section that I'm going to be using as part of the tank for the spray mist. This is going to be the bottom for it. I'm going to weld that around there, and then I'll have to come up with some sort of lid arrangement, whether it be a little hinge on here or whether I make a top to slide on. Not 100% sure yet, but we'll work on the bottom section. So I'm just going to sand off this dirty surfaces and make it nice and clean to weld it, and then I'll prep it, put a little V, slight little bit on here, same on that one, V it all up so you get a bit of penetration. Obviously it doesn't have to have any particular strength, but it'd be good, really good if it doesn't leak. Okay. Now to put a bit of prep on the edges. Going to prep the edge of this plate here and then the ends of that. These things, we call them wheels of death, affectionately. Not sure how sharp this blade is, haven't used it ages. Oh, it's going to be loud, by the way. Now, while it may be tempting to hold onto this and just to do it quickly, many a stronger and tougher man than me has been bit by these, so let's just take a bit of safety. Now that Mr. Compressor's had his say, small prep, put a little bit extra on the bigger plate, gives plenty of room to fill that up with a bit of a corner weld there, almost like a butt, and then I can probably sand that off. There's no real point to leave the weld on there unless it's particularly beautiful, but I doubt it. We'll get the TIG welder out now and play with that. Okay, come on. See the rod stick in the centre there and pull my job sideways? That's handy. Anyway, set the roof limit to 130 amps. Thing is, this whole thing's a heat sink, so what you need in amperage to start with, you lose it at the end. Not lose it, you need to back off at the end. So, let's build the other flat side there. You can see the arc strike where I didn't get a very good earth. I'll leave my roof limit on 130. What's roof limit? Some welding machines you can select the maximum amps that the scope of your foot control or your hand wheel will allow. So a 200 amp machine, which is what I have, if I dial 200 up on the machine, on the foot control, I get to use the full 200. Now if you're doing something delicate where you might, or stainless steel or anything where you lose much lower amps, then it's better to have a roof limit set to maybe 60 or 70. That means you've got more fine control over the whole range of motion, rather than move a little bit on your foot and then find out that a lot of amps have changed. So you're better off in that regard. So I'm limiting mine to 130. So I'll give a nasty arc strike here again. Give a bit of a bump. Okay. A little bit. Okay. I really like these. This is called an eye head TIG torch. Got a couple of different TIG torches, the normal 26, which comes with the machines with a flex head on it. That's pretty good. I've got a water cooled torch, which is great if you're really honking into some stuff, long runs. And because it's water cooled, it's a much smaller torch, up to 320 amps, 100%. I think the duty cycle on this one might be 150 amps. The beauty about these is to change direction or change angles to be comfortable. TIG welding, you have to be comfortable. So, you know, if you had a job on a different angle, pretty hard to replicate now, this is really hot, but you can imagine if there was some other angle. What if I wanted to weld this across here now without moving the job? Probably out of camera shot, but you know, I might prefer to be something like that. You've got, just with these, you've always got to remember to tighten up that nut, because if you don't, it'll arc out in there and damage it. I haven't damaged one, but yeah, so really cool. I do like them. I want to know where that damaged piece is, but every time I turn it off, I can't see where the teeth are either missing or what's going on. I've got another blade there, but I'll wait till this one busts. Right, so I've got this piece of aluminium here that I'm going to do the lid. I've decided to put a lid that's going to sit on top. So this is the piece for the lid I cut out. Now I need to cut 2 sides and 2 ends, I suppose we could call that. And then I'm just going to weld them so that they hang down a little bit, and then they can pop on, just gravity held. This is not going to be tilted upside down or anything silly for stuff to lift out. Just to stop any incidental spills or any dust and stuff getting in there. To determine the width that I'm going to have these hang down, all I'm going to do is the rest of this looks like 3" or 80mm. It's interesting. 80mm flat bar is whatever that measurement is there, just divided by 2. So about 26. So if we mark that at 13, mark that line in there. Bit of a bugger to try and hold stuff still when you're very thin. I could always run along it with a square, sliding square. Okay, so I'll cut that line in half on the bandsaw, and that'll give us the 2 halves of the sides. So I've tacked together the bits and pieces. That's the lid, and then I'm just going to weld it up. And so there's the lid here. It's just sit on top. That's all. Just so that I can put fluid back in there, set it on. It's going to be attached somewhere. Bit clunky, but it's only really to stop the dirt and debris getting in there. Okay, weld it up. Oh, I wonder if it'd be alright, nice to weld it like that. Yeah, no. Do it that way. I'll do the edges first. It's not going to fall over on me. It's probably going to, because they're more likely to melt off. These bits here. I'm just going to change the frequency a little bit, if I can get myself untangled from the tip torch. What frequency we got? 90 Hertz. Let's up that to about 110. It'll give me a smaller arc. Oh, knocked it down by myself. You see, I've got this little Duvalaki here. For just this sort of purpose. Possibly. Oh no. Oh well. There we go. That'll hold it just enough. Got my amp set. Roof limit of 120 using foot pedal. So I can back it off. Let's go. Try not to melt away the edges is the hardest part there. Right, let's turn it around. Okay, so I'll just weld around the top here. Get yourself comfortable, and this is where I like the... Let's alter this angle a bit. Picking up a bit of dirt from the edge. It's not clean, but gee, that was a nasty arc. Melted the bottom of the. Anyway. Okay, so she's getting hot now. Right, last little bit, that is piping hot. Next part of my little tank that I'm making, I've got to consider where it's going to spend a lot of its time, and a lot of its time is going to be on the side of the milling machine. So I'm thinking I need to put it in this sort of area here, depending on what I'm working on. I can change the height. It's got to obviously be able to be away from this handle. So I was going to use this magnet, which I'll pop on there. As an example. Now, a bit of flat bar off here is what I'm considering. Exactly even with the bottom of this. I'm just thinking while on my feet while I'm doing this, because I want to be able to move it to other devices. The bandsaw is really the only other one at this point in time. Lathe, not so much. I don't really tend to use flood coolant or anything like that on the lathe, but I can't see why this will certainly be able to attach to the splash guard at the back of the lathe, so that might be alright. So a bit of flat bar that's drilled and tapped, well, just have a hole through it because this has threads in it. Give it a bit of clearance. So I'm thinking about 120 millimeters long. Weld that onto the base of this, equal to the bottom, and that should allow that to sit there, and then I can move it up and down within relation. And let's be serious, it's probably going to spend most of its time around about that height there, because I've found while testing the spray mist system that this tank, it's important to have this tank at about the same, if not a smidgen lower, than where you want the nozzle to be. For obvious reasons, or this is probably a cheaper way of doing it. You can probably get proper systems with check valves and stuff in it. I'm not sure if how that would work. If it's too high, you can just get continual liquid running after you've stopped using the air. Yeah. So it's probably going to spend most of its time at about this height. I'm going to clean the lid up, but basically it comes off, fill it up, put the lid on, stop mucking that, get in there, and I'll have to put a little slot in here for the hose, because the hose itself, I suppose I can grab it. The pickup tube for the liquid, it's a nice little filter on the end of it, and rather than drilling and tapping a hole and having it all come out of here, I can't see why I just can't put a little slot in the lid and have that sitting in there with the lid. Basically it's going to come out of there, something like that, and then I'm still maintaining the little filter. That's my idea anyway. It may find that because it has to draw from the bottom of the liquid height may therefore change how it's drawing, whereas if it was attached through a fitting through here, it's got gravity pushing it through. Don't know, but we've got to try these things. Hold on to it, baby. That'll do. Oh, I'm not going to bother to sand it to get rid of all the little bits and pieces of the weld you can see. It's a lid for use in the workshop. It'll do. It can be more accurate on other stuff. Here's our little tank, and she's a bit of an ugly duckling. But hey, sometimes you just need something that works. I'm not selling them. Right, so the way I've designed it is that with these little screws that I had to modify, they were 6mm ones. I didn't have any 5mm, so I turned them down and then re-threaded them. So when the magnet is attached in this configuration, it'll go up off a vertical wall like that. And then I've put 2 more holes around this way so the magnet can attach this way, and now it can be put onto a flat surface, etc. Hidden from view is the little slot that I've put in here to hold the supply tube with the little filter from the manufacturer inbuilt. So I've done that. Try and keep the little filter involved so that it doesn't hopefully block up the nozzle. All I need to do now is make the mount that this holds onto. It's not really a mount, well it is, but I've done this part here, which is the little bracket, and then I'm going to put a piece of rod on here that will attach to a magnetic base, which I've shown in an earlier section. So I'll probably start doing that next. Got to turn this down to about 8mm, undefined length. This way, this will be the shaft. I know it's a bit of hex, but I don't have anything smaller that it's more realistic to make it out of. I might even have to blue it after I've done it to help with some rust control. But this is going to go onto the magnetic base, which then will attach to the spray mist head. So let's turn it down to about 8mm. Just touch off. Make sure that I've got the carriage in the right orientation before I get too carried away. I have, because I've got to start off really close to this centre here. That'll probably do, lengthwise. Alright, let's do this. And the wrong hand to start with. Let's get a tack on it. Okay, put another tack over here. There's that up tight. Very good. I think that's got it. Yep. Doesn't have to have a lot of weld. I'm not going to weld near where the bolts go through because I might not fit. I'm not using this so much as to stop it from moving, but I think it gives you a better ground point. It just seems to stop it arcing. Rightio. Put a little weld down in here. Okay. I believe one camera dropped out, she went flat. Right, so here we have the spray mist, a bracket attachment. Now that allows me to put this wherever I want on any type of machinery. Can obviously move these doodads around, up, down, wherever. Same with this guy. What I might do is blue this here, just so that it gives it a bit more protection from rust. Pretty salty environment we live in here, so that I think pretty much completes the spray mist project. When I have it up and running on the next job that I'm doing that needs to be used, I will put that up and we can see it in action.